Okay guys, so now that we've set up our machine and filled it on up, I'm going to show you guys how to properly use this dish machine, okay? One of the first things I like to do when I'm working on the dish station is to make sure that I've got a couple different racks stored on top of my booster heater. That way they're here for me for easy access. Typically we store all the dish racks underneath the bottom, so once things come out of the dish machine, we can take the items out of the clean racks, and once the rack is emptied, then we can just take the rack and set it down below, or we can take that rack back down to the other end and set it on the floor here. Again, easy access. Everything is readily available for us as we start to use this dish machine. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to pull my racks out, and I've got a couple dirty items over here. They're not heavily soiled, but we're starting to set up the kitchen for a new year, which means that we want to wash everything that comes out. I'd like to bring your attention to the racks that we use. We've got a couple different types of racks, okay? The first one here that you can see, this red and white one, has all these nice little compartments in it. This is used specifically for washing glasses. When our dining room is open, we keep these containers, these racks, right up here on the ledge. So what happens is, as the dirty glasses come back into the kitchen, what we do is we just dump all the contents of the glass into the sink, and we put the glass inside the rack up here on our top ledge. Once the rack is completely full, then we'll take this rack down and we'll slide it through the dish machine. Once it comes out of the dish machine, you will then need to take those glasses out to the dining room so that our wait staff in the dining room has clean glasses to reset the tables. We still have a few other types of racks. This rack here is really nice, and it's designed just for washing plates. You can see it has all these different pegs in it, so we can put items inside and in between these pegs to help keep them a little bit distanced so that they're not pressed up on each other. I'm sure you guys have used a dishwasher at home, and you know that if things are too close together, they're not going to get washed on the inside. We still have a few more types of racks. This one is nice and flat, nice smooth bottom. This is designed for washing silverware. So what we would do is we would take our silverware and dump it in. We would hose it off really good over here in our machine, so our silverware would go in. We would rinse it really well with our sprayer, and then we would slide it into the dish machine, okay? And we still have maybe one or two more types of racks, guys. Actually, no, it looks like everything else we've already talked about, with the exception of these small ones. These are also for washing silverware. The nice thing about these containers is that once we wash silverware the very first time through the dish machine in our large rack, what we then need to do is then take our utensil dividers and take the clean spoons and put them into one, take the clean forks, put them into another, and then we run this through the machine again. That way we know our silverware has been twice washed, and we know that it's completely clean. Okay? So those little guys are just for silverware also. So now I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do. We've got a couple different size dirty items that we're going to wash. So it's really just about making sure that everything is spaced apart, and you got a little room in between everything. You can put things of different shapes and sizes into one rack. Doesn't really matter. Just make sure that there's space and that the things aren't going to shoot out once they go into that dishwasher. The sprayers inside this dish machine are very powerful and aggressive. So if you put something that's very light in there, it may just get sprayed out of the rack and end up in the bottom of the dish machine. At the end of the day, when we break down this dish machine, we always want to check for all the little utensils, peelers, measuring spoons, things like that that have gone down into the machine. So now we've got our dirty dishes in the rack. All we got to do, push them in, and the machine should start. But you notice that it did not start because we haven't used the motor button yet. That's our first rack of the day. So what we want to do, guys, is then just go ahead and flick the motor switch to the on position. It's pretty loud. It's going to take about a minute and a half for this rack to go from the beginning all the way through to the end. While we're waiting on that to cycle through, again, we talked about this specifically for washing silverware, but we can use this for other items as well. We've got things that'll fit in there perfectly. We can go ahead and put them right on in. And then again, coming back to our racks that have the pegs in them, the pegs do a great job of keeping some items standing up entirely. These lids are a great example. I can take the lid and put them in between the pegs. They'll stand up nice and tall, and they'll get washed nice and clean. All we gotta do is slide that guy right on in and wait a minute and a half for them to come out. As you can see now, our first rack is coming out the back end. Everything is clean and sanitary. Just like our sheet tray machine, any metal objects coming out of this dishwasher are going to be extremely hot. So just be mindful of that before you grab the items. They may be a little toasty, so be careful about that, okay? As the items come out of the dishwasher, we've got time to grab them, stack them all up into light items, and then we just take those items and put them back on the shelf where they belong. Second rack is coming out now. Same thing. We take all of our light items. We can stack them up appropriately. And then we can put them right back where they belong. And again, remember, as these racks come out and they're empty, just take it right back on down, set it on top of your booster heater. Now it's ready in there for you for your next loading booster. Alright, we got all of our lids down. We can take our lids out of the rack and put them where they go. I'm going to go ahead and turn the motor off so it's a little bit quieter in here and you guys can hear me a little bit better. But at this stage, let's pretend we've gotten through our shift and it's time for us to break down the dish machine. What we want to do is open up the doors. Remember when we open these doors up, and if this machine was just running, it's going to be filled with steam. So be careful, and as you open it up, take a step back so that you don't get burned. Same thing on this side, guys. Open it up, take a step back. When you lift it up, it should catch immediately on the hook. If it doesn't, that's okay. Just lift it up, push your hook in place, and set it down on top of it. I'm going to bring you guys down for a sneak peek so that you can see some of the internal parts of the machine that I'm going to bring to your attention now. As we look in here, there's a lever right here. And very similar to our other machine, this is the lever that will drain. Once we are ready and done for the day, we will always drain the dish machine. So we can take this lever, pull it up, and this one will stay in the up position. You can hear the water draining. And if you take a peek down here, it's kind of hard to see. It's coming out pretty fast into the drain. Then we're going to want to reach inside here and take all of our drain parts out so that we can clean them up and remove any food debris that might be in them. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to take our container, set it over our dish rack, and we're just going to hose it out real good. We're going to make sure that we got all that funky, nasty stuff out of it and down into our sink. We've got it all drained and cleaned out. So now we can put these guys back into the machine. First part goes in, and our second part's going to go in. Now we're going to come over here and look at the other side. In the process of washing some dishes, it looks like one of our units fell out of place. And that's a pretty easy fix for us. It's sitting on a hinge right here, and we can just pop it right back into where it belongs. But remember, guys, this thing's gonna be really hot. Just ran all that 200+ degree water through it. He's gonna be nice and toasty. Just like the other side, we have a little switch right here. We're gonna grab that lever, lift it up, and that's gonna drain this side of the dish machine. Just like the other, we need to go ahead and make sure we get all of our rats out of here. If there's any food debris, it doesn't look like we have any, simply because we're just doing a demonstration. But if that was filled up with funky food particles and little bits of food, we would take that and rinse it out, just like we did on the other side here. These items that we use to support ourselves, this can get ran through the dish machine, and these catch pans can also get ran through the dish machine. What we would do with these catch pans is basically lift it up. We're gonna hose out all the nasty, funky stuff into one corner, and then once we do that, we're gonna lift it up, take it over to our trash can, and tap it out into the trash can. We'll do that for both sides, and then once we have them out and rinsed and cleaned, we'll run them through the machine also. Once we run those through the machine, then you are responsible for getting some scrub water and scrubbing down the entire area. This includes the ledge here, as well as all of this area inside the sink and the drain boards leading to the dish machine. Once you do that side, you're then gonna wanna come over, and we need to make sure that this drain board is nice and clean as well, and sanitary. So we'll scrub that down with a scrubby and hot soap water, rinse it off, and then use our sanitizer spray to spray it down. All right guys, this concludes our dish